Hello, everyone. Welcome back. So, I was standing in front of my pantry, like I do every night, usually around 9 p.m., wanting a snack. Not hungry, like literally just eaten dinner where I ate way too much. But I was just reaching. My hand was already on the door before I even realized what I was doing. And I just stopped this time. And I stood there and I thought, what am I actually looking for right now? It's like the thought when you go in a room when you're, like, looking for your glasses, but you forget that you're even looking for your glasses. It's like my body just naturally goes over to the pantry and wants to look for a snack. But what I was actually looking for in that moment, it wasn't food, it wasn't even close to food. It was something else, something I didn't really wanna sit with. And that moment, that little 9 PM pantry moment, that's what today's episode is about. We all have something we reach for when life feels too heavy. Maybe for you, it's not food. Maybe it's scrolling your phone until your eyes burn. Maybe it's saying yes to everything so your calendar is so full you never have to think. Maybe it's overworking. Online shopping, that's one for me too. Avoiding hard conversations, check. Or just disappearing into Netflix and telling yourself that you're fine. We all have something. And today I want to talk about it, not to shame it, not to fix it, but to actually try and understand it. Because I think when we understand why we cope the way we do, something shifts, like genuinely shifts. Welcome to Lowe's Couch. This is the space where we say the real stuff, the stuff that lives in the pantry at 9 p.m., the stuff you don't say out loud, the stuff you've been carrying quietly for way too long. No fixing, no filtering, just honest conversation. Come sit. Okay, so let's get into it. The first thing I want us to understand is this: your coping mechanisms are not your character flaws, they are not failures. I want to say that again because I think so many of us have spent years treating them like they are. Like there's something fundamentally wrong with us because we emotionally eat, or we people please, or we shut down, or stay so busy that we can barely breathe. But here's what I've learned: those patterns started as survival strategies. They had a job. At some point in your life, they actually worked for you. Maybe you grew up in a home where keeping the peace felt safer than speaking up. So you learned to read the room. You got really good at anticipating what everyone else needed before they even asked, because that kept things calm. That kept you safe. Maybe being perfect got you praised. Somebody loved you, so you learned to chase it, because if you could just get everything right, you'd finally feel like enough. Maybe life felt unpredictable for you, so you filled every single moment with work and responsibility and busyness because stillness meant sitting with feelings that felt way too heavy to actually feel. Your brain is incredibly smart. When something reduces pain, even temporarily, your brain, it takes note. It files that away. It thinks, "Whoa, that worked. Let's remember that." So the next time you're overwhelmed or anxious or lonely or hurting, it goes right back to the same response: automatic, almost invisible. That's why coping mechanisms can feel so frickin' hard to break. They're not bad habits you chose, they are patterns your nervous system learned to protect you. And for me, honestly, my biggest one has always been food. If I'm stressed, I eat. If I'm sad, I eat. If I'm bored, I eat. If I'm happy, I eat. Food has become my response to basically every emotion I've ever had. And I can't point to one specific moment where that started. There's no dramatic origin story for me. It's more like somewhere along the way, my brain connected food with comfort, with relief, with safety, even. And then that connection got reinforced over and over until it became completely automatic. I am still very much actively working on it, still learning to pause and ask myself, am I actually hungry, or am I trying to soothe something? Some days I catch it. Some days I'm 3 crackers deep before I even notice. That's just the truth. But here's the question that changed everything for me, and I want you to sit with it too. Instead of asking, "What's wrong with me?" what have you asked, "What was this behavior trying to protect me from?" That question is everything because maybe your perfectionism wasn't born out of pride, it was born out of fear. Maybe your people pleasing wasn't weakness, it was survival. Maybe your busyness wasn't ambition, it was protection from the feelings waiting underneath that noise. You can't heal something that you're still shaming, but you can heal something you're finally willing to understand. So once we understand that our coping made sense, the next question becomes, is it still serving us or has it started to keep us stuck? Here's the one question I came back to constantly. Is this helping me heal or is it helping me avoid? Because just because something makes us feel better in the moment doesn't mean it's actually helping us. Back to me in the pantry. When I'm stressed and I reach for food, I get immediate comfort. My brain gets a break. For a few minutes, I'm focused on something else, how good it tastes. And honestly, it works temporarily until it doesn't. But the stress is still there. And then I'm also disappointed in myself for going back to that coping mechanism. Whatever I was feeling before I opened that pantry door, the loneliness, the anxiety, the disappointment, the exhaustion, it's all still sitting there waiting for me. The food didn't touch it, it just helped me postpone feeling it. Psychologists call this experiential avoidance, when we dodge uncomfortable emotions to get temporary relief. And the tricky part is, it's not just food. It's scrolling until midnight. It's filling every quiet moment with noise. It's saying yes to another thing so you never have to sit in the space where your own thoughts live. And none of those things are bad on their own. Eating isn't bad. Watching TV isn't bad. Staying busy isn't bad. The question isn't whether the behavior is good or bad. The question is, what is it doing for me right now? Is it helping me move through what I'm feeling, or is it helping me move away from it? That's the difference between coping that supports healing and coping that keeps you cycling through the same patterns. I've started doing this thing where I literally just stop and ask myself, what do I actually need right now? Do I need food? Do I need rest? Do I need to cry? Do I need to call someone? Do I need 5 minutes of quiet? That pause doesn't always change my choice, but it changes my awareness. And awareness is where change actually begins. And here's also what I've realized. A lot of the time, my body already knew way before my brain caught up. We talked about this in episode 2, how our nervous systems are constantly picking up information we haven't consciously registered yet. Neuroscientists call it the somatic marker hypothesis. Basically, your body processes emotional signals faster than your conscious mind can catch up to. Your gut, your chest, your shoulders, they're already responding to something before your brain has even named it. So that tight chest when you open your emails first thing in the morning, not random. That heavy, drained feeling before you walk into a specific situation, that's your body trying to hand you information. And most of us have gotten exceptionally good at ignoring it or claiming it to be something else. We push through that exhaustion. We dismiss the knot in our stomach. We override the tension in our shoulders and tell ourselves to just push through. And then we reach for the coping mechanism before we ever even asked our body what it was trying to say. Sometimes I find myself standing in front of that pantry and I'm not even stressed yet. Or I think I'm not. But when I actually stop and check in, yeah, I'm mentally exhausted. I'm overstimulated. I've been pouring into everyone around me all day and I haven't even taken a single breath for myself. Food wasn't the real need here. It was just the fastest answer my brain had learned. So I've started practicing one really simple check in. Before I react, I just ask, what is my body actually trying to tell me right now? Am I tired? Am I anxious? Am I lonely? Am I overwhelmed? Am I actually hungry or hungry for something else? Comfort, peace, a pause, connection. There's no way I get it right every time, not even close, but I'm getting better at least creating that tiny bit of space between the feeling and the reaction. And that space, that little pause, that's where the choice lives. Which brings me to the thing nobody tells you when you're trying to actually change a coping pattern. Most of us just try to stop. We say, I'm not going to emotionally eat anymore. I'm done scrolling so much. I'm going to stop saying yes to everything. And those are such good intentions. But here's the problem: if you just try to stop without replacing the function it was serving, your brain will go looking for something else to fill that gap. Because the coping mechanism was meeting a need, not in the healthiest way, but it was doing something real for you. For me, food gives me comfort. It gives me a break. It gives me something to focus on besides whatever feels hard. So if I just tell myself, don't eat, without asking what I actually need, I'm setting myself up for frustration every single time, and probably a little bit of a freak out. The better question isn't how do I stop this? It's what need is this trying to meet? And is there another way I can give that to myself? So now, when I catch myself heading for the pantry tonight at 9 p.m. and I'm not actually hungry, I'm going to try to ask what I really need. Sometimes it's making a cup of tea and sitting outside for 10 minutes. Sometimes it's calling a friend. Sometimes it's journaling. Sometimes it's just letting myself have a cry instead of trying to eat through the feeling. None of those things erase the emotion, but they actually care for the emotion instead of covering it up. And that's the real difference. You're not building a new you. You're building a new default, one choice at a time. And it's not overnight. It's not perfect, but it's one conscious response at a time. And the more you practice that, the more natural it will become. Your brain will learn new pathways the same way it learned the old ones, through repetition. Okay, one last thing, and this is the thing I most want you to take away from today. You cannot shame yourself into healing. Trust me, I tried that for years. Genuinely, I'd emotionally eat and then I'd beat myself up for it. I'd promise myself tomorrow would be different, and then tomorrow would come and life would get hard again. And guess what? Tomorrow was not different. I'd be right back in the same pantry, same 9 p.m., same reaching for something that wasn't going to fix anything. It was actually going to make me more disappointed. Not because I lacked the discipline, I mean, maybe a little, but because I hadn't addressed what was underneath the behavior. I was just trying to fix the symptom without ever asking about the source. Research on self compassion, and there's a lot of it, consistently shows that shame actually makes it harder to change. It activates the same threat response in your brain as physical danger. So, as though like a tiger is chasing after you, that is what your brain is seeing as a threat. You cannot access clarity or growth from that place. But when you approach yourself with curiosity instead of judgment, when you ask what's really going on instead of what's wrong with you, that's when things actually start to move. Imagine you went up to your best friend and you were like, "What's wrong with you?" No, their defenses would go right up. You would go up to them and be like, "Hey, are you okay? What's going on here?" And you'd want to get to the root of the problem. That's what you need to do with yourself. So if you're listening today and you recognized yourself somewhere in this conversation, I just want to say you're not failing. You are not broken. You learned ways to survive. You did the best you could do with what you had and what you knew. And now you're becoming aware. And awareness genuinely is one of the bravest places you can be. Because once you can see the pattern, you're no longer trapped inside it. You get to make a different choice. Maybe not every time and maybe not perfectly, but little by little, one pause, one question, one moment of curiosity instead of criticism, you're building something different. And not a completely different person, just a gentler, more honest relationship with the one you've always been. So, as you go into your week, here's your one thing. The next time you notice yourself reaching for your go-to coping mechanism, don't judge yourself. Try to pause, get curious, ask, what am I actually needing right now? That one question might be the beginning of a completely different relationship with yourself. And if today's episode hit close to home, I made something. It's called the Calm Reset. It's 5 short practices designed to move you from overwhelm back to yourself, from that frantic, reaching, spinning feeling back to something that actually feels like ground. It's free. And honestly, it's fast because I know we don't all have a lot of time. And it's exactly what I wish I had years ago. The link is in the show notes. If this episode resonated, send it to a friend who needs it. She probably knows exactly what her pantry moment is. Thanks so much for sitting with me today. I will see you next week on Lowe's Couch. Thanks, everyone.